And remember how Donald Trump was saying how terrible the violence and the exploitation, and it was a humanitarian crisis down on the border. Remember that? Right before.
Yes, I do remember that.
And remember how the New York Times and the Washington Post said that there was no crisis on the border, that it was everything was hunky dory down there. Remember that?
Yes. Yes, if anything, there are fewer illegals coming in.
Yes.
Which they came to by reclassifying what an illegal is.
So,
just by the way, put a footnote in that.
So it's much like the New York Times reported that there was no starving of the petite bourgeoisie in the Ukraine during the 1930s by Joseph Stalin.
Right.
And there was no Holocaust in the 1940s in Germany. Now, the New York Times, did you see the story, Ann?
Yes, I did. I guessed that's where you were going.
I'll let Ann explain the story. I'll just read you the headline of the story. This is the New York Times. Never mind all those earlier stories. This is the new story. You have to pay with your body. That's a quote. The hidden nightmare of sexual violence on the border.
Yes, and the article admits that this barely scratches the surface, the ones they were talking to. No, it's a weird schizophrenic newspaper right now because they appear to still have some actual reporters. Not many, but some of the old school shoe leather reporters who find interesting stories that people wouldn't know about, go and investigate them and then report them. For young people, that's what we used to think of as news and reporting. But the new generation, no, it's pretty much just sit back and write social justice warriors pieces to prove how much more woke you are than other white people. And yeah, their social justice warrior division is not really in sync with the actual reporting division at the New York Times.
But this basically confirms everything that President Trump has been saying before he declared the national emergency.
Generally do. Yes. Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why I do not think it is principled at all. Since you mention it, and I like a lot of things about him, but for Rand Paul to be voting against the national emergency declaration, look, I know this may sound principled to the libertarian types, but I'm sorry, it is an emergency just because no one else was ever willing to deal with it. No other president. Compare it to every other declared national emergency and ask how many Americans were being killed by those national emergencies compared to this national emergency. I don't think this is principled at all. And for those of you who know anyone who votes in Kentucky, you should tell them to call and complain to Senator Rand Paul.
But, the thing is, you know the way this works. Sometimes Marco Rubio just has to come out and be a neocon every once in a while, despite, he does.
Once in a while.
Well, I mean, sometimes he's really good, like when they were trying to steal the Florida elections from Rick Scott and Ron DeSantis. He was on top of his game, but then he goes back and...
That is the one and only time I can recall in my lifetime, Marco Rubio being good on any issue.
Well, he's been, and again,
I'm willing to be corrected, but now that you mention it, you are right, he was good, and I remember being shocked, but I didn't think to myself, it's like that last time he was good on...
Well, but
then I'm stuck.
And, you have to judge a man by his enemies, do you not? And do you remember when Marco Rubio was framed by the New York Times when they said he'd bought a yacht? With it. And
I agree with the New York Times on that one.
A yacht? That wasn't a yacht. That was a fishing boat. Half of our neighbors in South Florida have boats like that, Ann. Come on.
If they used the word yacht, perhaps that was incorrect. But the substance of the article was that he was an absolutely ridiculous spendthrift.
Yeah. Well, I mean, who isn't, though, really? I mean, come on, Ann.
You and I aren't. Do you spend more money than you have?
No, I don't. No, I don't.
He was spending a lot more money than he had. It was embarrassing for someone who expected to be president of the United States. But, of course, the most embarrassing thing, in case any of you are unfamiliar with Marco Rubio's work, I should probably explain where my venom is truly coming from, and that is he ran for Senate in Florida promising that he would oppose an amnesty. He had been kind of weak on that in the state legislature. I obviously spend a lot of time in Florida, know a lot of people, a lot of the talk radio hosts. Our friend Joyce Kaufman got him to swear on his mother's life, because he ran as a Tea Party candidate, but in order to get the Tea Party conservatives, the people who really fought for him to win, he had to swear he would not support an amnesty, he would oppose it, and so on and so forth. He gets to Washington. What's his first bill? Amnesty!
Yeah. But like I said, but all of them have weak points. Like in Rand Paul's case,
more than a weak point.
In Rand Paul's case, he likes to be this constitutional scholar, and like you say, it's a way to throw an olive branch to the libertarians.
The nut libertarians.
Yeah, the nut libertarians.
Not the serious libertarians. Yes.
Well, the thing is,
Reed.
The pot question seems to be on the verge of victory. So the libertarians need a new issue now that they could get stoned all day and just drive to the marijuana shops in half the states, and in a couple of years it'll be all the states. You know that.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that. I may write about it this week. I'm reading this fantastic book by a New York Times reporter, Alex Berenson, on the truth about marijuana. And I recommend right now, you won't even have to read my column, I don't know, this week or next week, I haven't decided. It's called Tell Your Children. And oh my gosh, Howie, Carr. I mean, doctor friends, I know a lot of doctors. They've been telling me this for years, sending me, JAMA studies and so on. And I told some of them to get it too. This book is stunning. It is such a scam. This is all, well, I'll say more about it. But for one thing, your odds of developing schizophrenia quadrupled if you smoke pot, basically before the age of 30.
Yeah. No, I
mean, not that many people will get schizophrenia, but at least with a lot of other things, say smoking cigarettes. Okay, you increase your risk of lung cancer. What does that mean? It means you're incredibly productive for like 50, 60 years. At a relatively old age, you get lung cancer, you die in 6 months. Okay, everybody's sad, but you don't cost the government anything. You certainly do not kill your entire family with a hammer. That's the difference.
Hey, listen, Ann, I get in big debates all the time about marijuana on this show. I mean, because we have a libertarian pro-pot, generally a heavily pro-pot audience. And they say, you want the government out of every other form of your life, but you want to keep us from having marijuana. I don't want to stop if people want to smoke marijuana, they go ahead. It's a free country, but I don't think we should make it as available as it's becoming now. That's the problem. I mean, we've done with gambling. We've done it with gambling, Ann, and I think
that's a huge mistake.
Yeah, it was a huge mistake, and you
by
could
the
see
way,
it coming.
Wait, there are two errors in what you said. No, one isn't an error. I just wanted to point out, this image of like the laid back Grateful Dead attending pot smoker. Oh, they're so peaceful, so easygoing. Oh my gosh, you say one critical word about pot. Both of us are going to be overwhelmed with people denouncing us. No, this is all about money. People want to make money. The pot industry, they're set to make a lot of money. But in your description of your position just there, you began with the statement, we're a free country. I would like to put a 70-page footnote on that. Oh, no, we're not. No, we're not. When they become retarded, and you do become retarded even if you're not schizophrenic.
Please don't use that word, Ann. Please.
It's one of my favorites. From smoking pot and are unable to hold a job or a decent paying job. No, Ann, Howie, and your listeners right now will be covering your health care, your food, your housing. No. As long as I have to pay for these slackers
I make
and
that I make that same point, Ann. If we didn't have a welfare state, I'd be a lot more inclined to say, go ahead, legalize it, put it on every street corner, But you're right. I mean, once somebody decides to become a couch potato, and you can't tell me that there isn't a certain percentage of people who get into marijuana, especially now, it's a lot more powerful.
Oh yeah,
a lot more potent than it used to be. They're just gonna take to their couch, and you're right. They're gonna become burdens, more wards of the state. We're supporting 50 million wards of the state now, and 10, 20 million of them aren't even U.S. citizens. They're in the country illegally. I don't need any more people leeching off me. Dependents,
Yes,
right.
Exactly.
Right, especially since I don't get to write them off my taxes.
Right.
Yeah.
And the difference, something you just mentioned, the difference in the THC from when you or I were kids to today, it's astronomical. It's through the roof. So I'm sorry, if you're over the age of 40 and think pot smoking is okay, you don't know what pot's being sold today.
All right, Ann, I got to tell you one more thing before I let you go. You remember the Snail Darter?
Yes, of course I do.
Well, we have new Snail Darters in Texas today. Lawsuit launched challenging Texas highway project's threat to endangered salamanders.
At least that's more impressive than the furbished lousewort. I believe a bridge was shut down in Massachusetts over the beloved furbished lousewort.
Don't forget the Plymouth red-bellied turtle too. We had to build a tunnel under a highway for them. But listen. There are two endangered salamanders in Austin. One is the Austin blind salamander. You would think if it's a blind salamander, it would probably have gone extinct millions of years ago, right? But somehow it's been hanging on. And the other one is the Barton Springs salamander. So does that just mean it's only
salamanders?
Go
they
ahead.
eat mosquitoes. They at least accomplish something. I mean, they're more valuable than Adam Schiff.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Can you believe Schiff is still going on TV and saying that there's a documented proof of Russian collusion? He can't produce the proof. The investigation is now going on its third year almost, and yet he still gets to go on TV and nobody calls him out.
No, I know. I'm testy with the president for not building the wall, deporting illegals, or issuing the anchor baby executive order, etc. But man, these Democrats, they are just ensuring his reelection. They need to read Resistance is Futile. By the way, you all need to read Resistance is Futile because all of the nonsense you're going to be hearing about for the Democrats for the next 2 years, that's all you need to know. People keep missing the forest for the trees for each one of these scandals.
And what's the marijuana book again? And who wrote it?
It's called Tell Your Children by Alex, I think it's Berenson. I've been reading it so obsessively, I haven't really looked at the title page. But he was a New York Times reporter. It's stunning. You must read this book. Tell Your Children. I'll check it out, Ann. Thank you very much. We appreciate you being with us. I'm Howie Carr.